This is the Coin It Podcast, sponsored by VCD Auctions. Have fun like a collector. Think like an investor. Whether you're just a hobbyist or looking for an alternative investment with rare coins, paper money, NFTs, or art, your host, Charles Jonath, is covering it all. Now your host, Charles Jonath.
All right, so we're here with Don Kagin, second generation coin dealer, and of a firm his father started. I believe you guys are like the oldest family run coin business there is, probably, right?
We are celebrating our 90th year. My father started as a professional in 1933.
That's amazing. I mean, Don, for those people who don't know, Don and his father really, they honestly built the legacy of excellence in rare coins to rival anyone in terms of research, handling of great coins, especially in territorial issues. So Don, tell us a bit. How did you get started? How do you guys get started in coins, and what got your father initially into coins?
My father was a paper boy in Minneapolis, and he got I think it was an 1883 nickel in payment, and the lady said, "Don't ever spend this; it'll be worth a lot of money." And that got him interested in coins. He started working for a man named Hollenbeck in Minneapolis, and became a professional numismatist in 1933. Started opening up coin shops. Found one around the country, Midwest, and found one in Des Moines, Iowa, a stamp and coin shop. Bought it. He was chastised by his boss for buying it when the boss said that the Des Moines, Iowa was not a big enough metropolitan area to survive in the coin business, but he was too young and obstinate, and of course it was right. His boss was right, but he wanted to make sure that it worked anyway, so he kept living in Des Moines and working this office, and in 1940 started in a mail order auctions and mail only auctions. So and made it a successful business. Did over 350 auctions during his career. I joined him. Well, I worked for him as a young on weekends and summers. And 1968, I started cataloging for him.
Wow.
Some of these auctions, and was full time in 72.
That's
the rest
incredible.
is kind of history.
That's so cool. But and I'm second generation doing it too. And then, I grew up kind of in the business, and you have to come to that realization. Like, when did you figure out, obviously you were in the early days when you were a kid helping your father, right? But then when did you figure out for yourself that, wow, this is something I really want to do and coins is for me?
I think it was in college. I mean, I had given lectures and talks and when I was in high school, and debate and forensics and about coins, and I was fascinated with it then. In college, I was taking history courses, and then I had the opportunity when I was in the Senior Honor Society. You get elected to that in your junior year, and I was meeting with the provost for their annual get-together, and he said, "What's my major?" And I said it was history, but I kind of really like something else. And he said, "What's that?" I said, "Numismatics." He says, "Oh, you can do that here." I said, "I can get a major in numismatics?" He said, "Yes." I look in the program of our College of Arts and Science. We have something called an ad hoc major, which means that you can create your own major if you can find the professors who will mentor you. And basically it was all these classes that I was taking to fill my requirements for a basic history degree. I would do extra independent study and research work that was numismatically related. So in my Spanish class, I wrote an article of the first coins of the first emperor of Mexico, Iturbide, or in probability and statistics course, I would take. I wrote an article about the election of 1896 and how that was divided. If you think the country's divided now, you could draw a straight line between the north and west, or the south and west versus the northeast, in as far as gold versus silver as one of the main issues at the time. McKinley versus William Jennings Bryan, and those people in the coin industry would recognize that name as because he had coins made of Bryan money, we call it today. So I wrote an article about that and different areas that I found interesting. I kept on realizing, gosh, rather than going to law school, maybe I need to continue to pursue a career in numismatics, and that's pretty much what happened. I got my BA from Northwestern in numismatics as well as history, and then went on to get a doctorate in numismatics from the Union Institute and University.
That's incredible. I mean, that's basically unheard of,
Yeah, it still is the only one in the United States.
I believe it. There's probably still an opportunity to do that with some schools, like to do an ad hoc major, as you mentioned, but then you'd have the qualifying part and doing all the groundwork and then relaying it to the whoever's in charge there, the board or the school, or to be able to qualify those and accredit those classes. I mean, it probably is it would be a lot of work even to today. So that's pretty incredible.
There is one other numismatist who went on to get a BA degree in numismatics, University of Kentucky. John Kern got one, but the emphasis for mine was history. His emphasis was on metallurgy, but he also has a BA degree in numismatics.
Wow. Got it. I mean, so at Kagan's, I want to say you guys did what I would call most of the foundational work on U.S. territorials, particularly pioneer gold issues. How did that all come about, and what was the interest there specifically in pioneer gold?
Thank you for using the word pioneer. Actually, territorial gold has been a misnomer for 75 years. People have collected. California was never a territory, so it wasn't territorial. It's right. We call it pioneer or private gold coins.
Yep.
That were the result of our nation's gold rushes. Well, there wasn't a major reference book on it, and so when I was working on my doctorate, that was my area of interest even prior to working on my doctorate degree, and my dissertation, as it were, ended up being the reference book on pioneer gold that I had published finally in 1981 and working on a second edition now.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. I mean, like I always think that it's an underappreciated little niche in numismatics, and the history behind it and the rarity of some of these pieces is just astounding. And I don't know why a lot of people sort of tend to gravitate towards, the top pop U.S. type coin stuff.
Well, Charles, I deal in all aspects of numismatics, but I couldn't find a more interesting area and series than pioneer gold. Unfortunately, if you're a collector, while it's historically and interesting and artistically the most most diverse series of coins you can collect, it's also probably the most expensive on a coin-by-coin basis. They are so rare, and I suspect that's why a lot more people don't collect it. It's not because it's not interesting and fun and historical. It's because it's not cheap, unfortunately,
just priced out of the market,
compared to other coins. But if you have the means, you won't find a more fascinating field of numismatics, in my opinion.
Interesting. So let me ask you this. Today in 2023, how would one approach collecting pioneer gold?
Well, I think it's very important that you work with somebody who is knowledgeable in the field, and there are a few people here in the country that are, because this is one series really in particular that, as my father says, you can't park your brain just because a grading service has designated a coin a certain grade. So many of the coins today and holders are not original surfaces. They've been cleaned or enhanced in some way. And it's such a specialized field that it's hard for even graders who are professional graders to know every field. And this is one that there's so few of that it's difficult to really grade them correctly. And unfortunately, there's a lot of coins and holders today that we would not recommend to our clients, for instance. But given that there is a method to the madness, I put together a what I call an 11-piece typeset of Pioneer Gold that pretty well covers the 3 gold rush areas where coins were made: the Southern Appalachia gold rush of 1830, basically, where we have the Templeton Reed and Beckler coinage. Then 20 years later in California, which was huge. And that because of that, people in Oregon as well as Utah issued coins. And so you have, and then 10 years later, you have the Colorado gold rush. So you want a Beckler coin. You want to have a coin from Oregon if you can afford it, and the Mormons, or Utah and California. That's one of each area that's produced, and Colorado that produce the coins. And then within there, especially within California, there's a number of coins you can collect that represents pretty much the California experience. A $50 gold piece from the U.S. Assay Office. You want one of those. You want a Norris Gregg Norris, the first coin struck in California, privately gold coin struck in California, a Moffat and Company, a Kellogg and Company. I mean, coins that are accessible, and you can put 11-piece typeset together for not that much money. You know, you got a $50 gold piece that's maybe a 5-figure coin, but still, it's something that's challenging but doable. You won't get every merchant that issued.
Still an attractive coin in lower grades too.
Yeah, they all are very interesting coins. It isn't just finding another date of the same design, right? I mean, to me, there's a challenge there, but artistically and historically, you're not dealing with much difference between one Morgan dollar and another Morgan dollar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you get into Pioneer Gold,
very diverse,
and they all are different. So that's the challenge and the fun of that.
Yeah, well, and then I don't know. I'm still, the grading, I think, is a big aspect to it too, because I still feel like there's room for improvement on the whole grading process of Pioneer Gold. There's still a question as to who gets it really right and when and how that happens. And it seems like there's no clear cut criteria from the major grading companies on what they expect for these coins. Right.
Well, we hope that improves over time. We, of course, are the consultants if they want to use us, but to all the grading companies. But again, consistency it's hard to become consistent in something when you're not seeing that many examples. So.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too. That's very much the issue. I mean, so as you know, I'm not much of a fan of modern coins, but I gotta say, when I saw like the Spanish doubloons, it's probably the most attractive modern U.S. bullion coin, in my opinion. I love the design of it. It's really a beautiful coin, and I'm shocked. And then I found out, oh, okay, Kagan's you guys are the main distributor of the coin, and how did that happen, and why? And tell us a bit about that, Because I'll tell you one thing I love a bit about the coin is not only it's aesthetically really pleasing, but I love the fact that it gives homage to history with the name doubloon. It's a Spanish doubloon, and that's really a cool aspect of it.
It is, but it wasn't designed that way. Charles, this was very serendipitous that this happened. Like you, I'm into the vintage coins for 55 years as a professional.
Right. Yeah.
And Candace and I travel a lot, and we go to major cities. And when we do, we always try to arrange for a tour of their mint museum. Madrid has one of the finest, if not the finest one in the world. And we took a tour, and when it was over, the mint director said, Dr. Kagan, my colleague has a question. And Jose Miguel is his name. And he says, Spain, for the first time 400 years, we're going to start issuing our own bullion gold coins, like the American Eagle, Krugerrand's Maple Leafs,
wow,
Philomar, whatever. And we're new at this. Can you help us find a distributor in the United States? Okay, yeah, sure. I know some of the major guys who sell these coins. And it happens to be that not only was it a bullion coin, but they had made a decision to make these modern reverse proofs. So it's really kind of it's a hybrid coin. It's not just a bullion coin, it's a modern proof, so of limited quantity. So I went to the usual distributors of these, and this happened to be in late November. They were coming out with the coins December 1st of 21 with a date of 21 on them. And most of these guys said to me, Don, we're already promoting our 22 issues. We don't have time for this. And nobody had even seen what these coins look like. And furthermore, they were called lynx because they had an Iberian lynx, their mammal, on one side, but on the other they had the camellios, which is the pillars of Hercules, the pillars that you see on pieces of 8. Right. And there's a connection.
Iconic design.
That's right. And for hundreds of years, they were coming from South America and coming to the Spain. Right. And as a matter of fact, these coins, the silver issues, were legal tender in the United States, 1857. So these pieces of 8 had these columns of Hercules representing the Old and New World on it, and that design actually morphed into the American dollar sign. So there are connections with the United States. So that was good, that I'm dealing with the country and their coinage that had a connection. Then we went and said, there's no resonance with this Iberian lynx with people here in the United States. When we think of Spain, we think of a bull, but also we need to come up with a name for this. So they went back to the drawing board and they said, Americans, they really think of when they get Spain and treasure, they think of doubloons. So we came up with the name Spanish Doubloons, which certainly does resonate here. And then we lucked out again with the quality of the coin. So we asked Spain to when nobody else was willing to be an exclusive distributor, I had set aside some time. I'd put some time away to be president of the ANA, but I lost by about 17 votes. So I had this time set aside, and I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. What would it take to be the exclusive distributor? Not knowing that nobody has an exclusive distributorship with any major mint. But they came back to me, they gave me a number, and I said, okay, I'll take a shot. So that's how it happened.
Nice.
And then we went through all these other issues with them, and it's still a work in progress, but we had I said, can I have the first 1,000 coins that you make on the first day can I have it designated as the first day of issues? And they said, yes. So I asked them to ship the first 100 or 200 coins, 100 apiece to NGC and PCGS.
Awesome.
To get graded. So I call up PCGS. How'd we do? Don, usually 80% of the coins from the major mints come back 70. 94 came back 70.
Wow.
I said, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next day I call NGC. I said, Don, all 100 of the 100 that were shipped came back proof 70. So I knew we had a winner in the coin. They had not only a great design,
they were struck very well.
But
I felt
the quality was superb. So we lucked out with that. The name change was very important. NGC, Andy Salzberg there, who runs that division for the last 20 years, came up with a 5-year plan for Spain that we shared with Spain, and they said, okay. So we'll try it. We'll adopt the plan that includes a 1/10 ounce, a bull for next year. They've implemented both, and the bull, of course, they sent us different designs for the bull because I asked them so that I could bring it to all my dealer colleagues who handle these kind of coins, and so they would have input on what the coin looked like that they were going to sell. And sure enough, Spain did adopt the bull image that the majority of the coin dealers and distributors picked out. So
interesting.
Now we have that bull, very popular design. The links, the 21 issue links, Spain has now sold out of all 12,000 of them that they had for sale, that they made. They made 15,000 bulls. They've sold over half of those. Those are the 22 issues. The 23 issue we hope to come out with by June, and that'll probably be a stallion. We're looking at images now for that. We're going to have a new a baby bull, maybe in a month or so, a 1/10 ounce baby bull. We already have a 1/10 ounce lynx, which is, as you know, Charles, the most popular of the denomination of bullion coins, and they're pretty competitively priced in spite of the fact that they are limited quantity. Every coin is encapsulated. Every coin is a reverse proof. So again,
comparatively, they're very good price. I think very competitively priced. And
right.
that's fascinating to hear that. I'm glad to hear that they're willing to keep doing different designs and stuff like that and keep the issue going. I mean, are they're gonna release new coinage every year? Is that the plan? Or
yeah, the plan is it's a 5-year plan, maybe a wolf and an eagle the last 2 years. Don't know it for sure, but we're looking at other series, perhaps a galleon series we've been talking about. That will require a whole different kind of coin, which is very confidential right now. So we can't
that's
tell you
exciting,
about that.
though.
But there's some, and maybe some other bullion commemorative issues. And again, we want to continue with anything that has a connection with the United States too.
Yeah, that's a cool story. Then now you got me excited about the potential galleon stuff, because I think that'll be a big hit. I do.
Well, we're looking forward to it. You know?
So where can people buy these coins right now?
Your major distributors, AppMex is online with a lot of these. They're the JMB coins, J&M coins. There are other, you can go online and look. We're the only exclusive distributor for the United States, but there are distributors in other parts of the world. But we're the only ones that are authorized to get them certified. So we have first strikes. That's the 1 of 200, 1 ounce, and 1 of 250, 1/10 ounce. And then we have the first day of issues. And these are in 69 and 70. So both grading services grade them. We have some, I think, on our website. We hope to, once we have enough distributors selling these coins, we probably won't be offering the coins themselves to the retail public, but exclusively through other distributors and major dealers.
Awesome. That's incredible. That's very cool. So circling back a bit, I want to ask you a bit of a broader question, but I'm curious to get your opinion, and I think a lot of people would want to know as well. What do you see as, like, right now the future of numismatics and the way things are going? I
mean, the future in what area?
As a broad perspective, like collecting as a hobby, and not only the older coins, but also like modern. I know it's hard to say, but.
Well, first, having been on the board, off and on the A&A board for almost 20 years, including vice president, I've been very much involved. And then when my father was on the board of A&A, our umbrella organization, we've always struggled with what's the future going to be in A&A and how do we get more young people involved. There actually is a lot of young people involved.
Don,
it hasn't really changed a lot. They do come in, they go to summer seminar. I'm encouraged by the amount of young people I see that continue to have an interest in numismatics. What happens when they graduate high school and go on to college and there's another story. We lose a lot of those people, and they don't come back till they're in their 30s or whatever. And there needs to be some ways of keeping those people engaged. Mm-hmm. But I continue to see interest. I do not see this hobby decreasing much in interest, and we saw an increase actually during the COVID years.
Absolutely,
yeah. So in spite of the fact that you couldn't go to coin shows, the online and Zooming of coin club meetings and online trading has been a terrific boon to numismatics. The digital outreach I've been pushing, and we will have, you'll be able, smartphone application where you can just go in and take a course in numismatics anytime, 24/7, on your handheld device if you want. So that's part of the future in numismatics, is the outreach to people all over the world, and that's really going to stimulate more interest, not just in this country but worldwide. Museums sharing what they have and making their coins, in some cases millions of coins are sitting in museums and in other countries that obviously they can't display all of that. All of that can eventually be digitized. You can I look forward to a QR code being put on labels by the grading firm so that anybody, again, with a handheld device or otherwise, can go and just click that on, and you have not only the history and information about the coin and its population and its provenance, but you also have the history of the mint and the country and the culture. I see that happening too. So we're going to be able to share a lot more information, and through numismatics, which already is probably among, if not the finest artifact you have to tell the story of a civilization. Right. So I see a pretty bright future in numismatics, and in the fairly near future, I expect to see a lot of this happen over the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, it seems to be headed in that direction. I mean, there's been all sorts of advents. I mean, look at the numismatic portal. Can you imagine
Perfect
having
example.
that resource like 20 years ago? Man. What you said about the potential digitization of museum stuff, what comes to mind, imagine an online digital viewing experience of the Smithsonian or something like that. That would be
Oh yeah, it's coming. You'll be able to see that. They
that
do
would be
things now.
incredible.
Yeah, I'm actually attending next week. I'm attending a 100th anniversary of the collection or something like that at the
Wow.
Smithsonian Institution, and they have some very uh, good marketers and numismatists there and curators. They opened up a new museum, big money museum for young people. I brought my grandchildren there this last year, so
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, you'll see a lot more programs from them, from the ANA, ANS, and around the world.
That's great. Well, Don, you're a kind of guy, like I could literally sit here and talk to you for hours and hours and then about this stuff. But I know you're a busy man and I won't take up too much of your time, but I just want to say thank you for doing this and I really appreciate it. And, as you know, we built a relationship over the years in doing business and, there couldn't be a better group of people to work with. So,
Well, thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, and I don't think there's a better use of my time than sharing experiences and what this hobby is all about. I've been blessed by being able to make it into a profession, but it's led to a lot of other things. But I find nothing more challenging and interesting than this field, and I hope your viewers start to feel the same way if they don't already. And if I can be of any further help, just let me know.
absolutely. Well, you're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, sitting down, people are going to listen because there's a lot there, obviously. So, thank you once again, and yeah, hopefully we could do this in the future. And I know I'll see you guys soon, anyways.
Looking forward to it. Thank
All
you,
right,
Charles. Bye
pleasure.
bye.
Take care.